Welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, Mr. NumberNine.
And this is the Fool.
This is where me and the Fool give our
Unqualified and unrequested
ramblings on the various issues in the world of sport.
or something like that.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the bread and the butter. We are talking about football.
Woo!
It's been, at time of recording, a couple of weeks since we last did a record, at least 3 weeks.
Ooh. Or maybe even 5 weeks we did record. I've been overseas and back in that time.
We had a decent amount of recording and pre-work done. Who are we? What have we done with Adam and Imran?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy that we were actually prepared for that, you know? And things went out.
Yeah.
And we're there. And people could listen to things. It's crazy.
Yeah, and people did listen to things.
I know.
And in that time, everything's gone haywire in both the Premier League and the Champions League. Going to the top of the table, we have Liverpool with Arne Slot looking pretty much like the form team of the season.
Pretty
so
much,
far.
yeah.
They've been lucky with injuries, but that can happen with Liverpool, as we have said several times in this podcast.
Yeah.
And they've got a decent run of games before the Christmas period starts. As we know, they're playing Southampton away, which should be another win for them. And then they play Real Madrid at home for the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then obviously a top of the table clash on the 2nd of December against Manchester City, who are already 5 points behind them.
Yeah, exactly. And that at Anfield as well, so.
Yeah. In the time, Manchester City have had their injuries and been dropping points, which Liverpool has taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Arsenal, who looked like the team we all thought they would be the team to challenge City, but it's not quite happened for them.
No, it hasn't quite worked out for them.
City, before they play Liverpool at the beginning of December, have a match against Spurs and Feyenoord in the Champions League, so tough games to go with, especially Spurs. They're a team that can just beat anyone on their day and lose to anyone on their day.
Yeah. Exactly. So that would be a tough match. That ends a little bit, not to make a passe comment, but on which Spurs team travels up to Manchester. As you say, on their day they can win anything. So, and
Spurs do have a record of beating Guardiola's Manchester City.
Yeah.
In recent years. So that could be rough for City again, and could be an extension of this lead by Liverpool.
That said, Spurs have just come off a 2-1 loss to Ipswich Town. So
yeah.
Who knows how that's going to affect them. And there's an international break between now and then as well, so who knows.
And we all know Manchester City's going to hit this point where they just they'll win every game. And Liverpool will have to keep up, as will any team behind them, hoping to catch up to Manchester City. So while Liverpool have a very sizable lead and might increase it, I still think City are gonna be there at the end of the season fighting for that top spot. I don't think I'm super confident in City though, because obviously the injury of Rodri is a huge blow.
That is a huge blow.
I expect Pep to figure stuff out around it, but it's going to take some time because Rodri is a special player.
Yeah, exactly.
Rightfully the Ballon d'Or winner this year.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that leaves a big hole to try and fill, right? And that's, it's not going to be easy, and it takes a bit of doing. But yeah, Pep's Pep. Like, you'd imagine that he will give him enough time, he'll get it sorted out, and that time isn't a huge. We're not talking months, we're talking weeks. Like, he'll he'll have it sorted, and I'm with you. That City team will get back into gear, and things will start to work again.
Yeah, and Liverpool while they have a decent run-in before the Christmas break, the Christmas break itself is pretty tough for them. Next up, we have Chelsea Football Club going up to third.
Yeah.
We're getting the team to play his way.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've a away fixture against Leicester, a team they should comfortably beat. And then they've got a UEFA Conference League fixture, which I just confidently will say Chelsea should win. As we discussed, he should win every single UEFA Conference League fixture.
Yeah.
Given how much more is invested into the squad compared to every other team in the Conference League.
Exactly.
And then they play against Aston Villa, basically that battle for the top 5, I guess. This is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool. It looks crowded at the top, and on the same number of points as Chelsea, we have Arsenal, who have dropped points. They've been complaining about referees, and they've been eggy in games. We love to see it. Arsenal next play Nottingham Forest, which is what's now a top 4, top 5 game.
Yeah, that's Champions League spot game, right there. Go Nottingham Forest. On the back of Chris Wood as well. Chris Wood just proving his worth completely.
Absolutely.
Player of the month for October, right? Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's the highest scoring human player in the league, because we all know Haaland's a robot.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't count.
He's an alien.
Yeah.
Arsenal, after playing Nottingham Forest, they play Sporting, who obviously have a new manager. So we'll see how they perform. Those Sporting have been in great form in recent weeks, beating Manchester City.
Yeah.
So nobody will be taking them for granted. And then they play West Ham at the London Stadium.
Yeah.
So Arsenal have a tough run of games.
Yes.
This is the make or break for this season, one gathers. Like, if they want to challenge for the championship, winning the title, then they've got to go undefeated this month and December, at least.
I think so, yeah. I think to get everything all back on track, so it's not completely off the rails, but like having a long unbeaten run through there is going to be important. And I know we'll go more into it later when we have our Christmas in December podcast, but they do have a reasonably winnable list of fixtures.
Yep. Next up, we have Nottingham Forest.
Woo!
They play Arsenal, and obviously they have no European fixtures, so they get a whole week of rest before playing Ipswich.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest have a less crowded schedule than their rivals, fighting for a top 5 spot. So they're a decent chance to improve on their position. As we showed, they've got Ipswich to play and Arsenal, but they have the advantage of more rest than Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Will have.
So they are playing Arsenal straight out of the international fixtures, right? So, which, to be fair, may play into their hands, because whilst I'm not sure how many All Whites games there are for Chris Wood to play, like, I would imagine, without looking deeply at both squads, that the Arsenal players may be called up more than the Nottingham Forest players, so that rest may work well for them.
Absolutely. Now, the other team that's there on 19 points is Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah.
Currently all the way down in 6th place. So there is no difference in points between 3rd and 6th.
Yeah.
So it's an extremely tight at the top of the table. Brighton facing Bournemouth in their next game at Bournemouth. And they play Southampton, so they stay at the South Coast, 2 South Coast derbies, and then they play Fulham away.
Coming off a win against Manchester City as well, at home, but still.
Yeah.
It's a big win for them, so.
Yeah.
that can only bring good vibes right into the team. So I think that will serve them good as they go against two maybe lower grade teams, maybe.
Yeah, Brighton have a great opportunity to go up in the table. Heck, if Manchester City drop points, they might even overtake them.
Yeah.
Because they're two very winnable fixtures. Though Bournemouth are a very good side this season.
Yeah.
Currently...
They're currently 12th. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, they are playing pretty solid, Bournemouth.
Next, we have like 3 teams on 18 points. Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa. It's a very tight fixture. We're going to see a pile-up. Everything at the top is too tight right now. Then we've got Spurs and Brentford at 16 points each. And then Bournemouth and Manchester United on 15. So 13th place Manchester United is only 4 points behind Chelsea at 3rd place. So 10 places, 4 points.
4 points.
It tells you how tight things are at the top.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take a lot of, you lose the game here, drop a couple of points there, and suddenly you're tumbling on down through the table. So yeah, it's a very tight race.
Yes, and Manchester United will obviously start off with the Ruben Amorim era with their opening game against Ipswich. We'll see if they do 3 at the back, how they change the system. It'll be all interesting. He'll have the international break to try and train some of his players as much as possible. Then they've got a fixture at home against Bodo Glimt.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play Everton at home.
Yeah.
So Ruben Amorim, and a reasonable thing of fixtures before he, gets into the tough Christmas period where Manchester United will be playing a bunch of teams that are in and around trying to finish the top 4. Plus, they've got their Europa League fixtures to worry about as well.
Yeah.
So Ruben Amorim has the next 2 or 3, his time back, the first 2 or 3 games is crucial for him to embed the system in.
Yeah.
But it'll be difficult to see where it's going. Well, we all know how Manchester United have been playing super inconsistent. How do you feel about Chelsea this season so far?
I actually feel like we're doing well despite ourselves. It feels like everything's sort of working out and going well, but I still just have that little nagging feeling that it's all just not quite there yet. But it does feel like it's not that far off. So a few things here and there. I was reading a bit online just after the last weekend, the 1-1 draw with Arsenal. Feels like, and I was sort of agreeing with it, feels like, keeper is a weak point, and maybe that needs strengthening. There was calls there for Sanchez to be dropped. Potentially that's the right call, potentially not. He comes up with some ridiculous saves sometimes, but they're right that sometimes he doesn't. So that inconsistency, I think that's a bit of it, and that's across our defence. I sort of feel there's a little bit of inconsistency in defending, and that's probably where my concern is coming in. So it doesn't take a lot to turn that around. 1 or 2 good signings in the centre back / goalkeeper. If Sanchez isn't going to improve, maybe.
Yeah, I think the issue, you've hit the nail on the head. It is the goalkeeper. It's hard for centre backs to be solid.
Yeah.
If they're not confident about the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And it seems quite obvious that Chelsea are not.
Yeah. And that's probably the big thing. Get a keeper who's going to command his area and who the defenders can have confidence that if something does get through, he's going to be there to save it. And it has to be a screamer to not be saved. And that might improve things. I sort of feel still maybe pull ahead or calming presence in that centre defence will also help, but maybe it's just the keeper. Like, it's hard to tell sometimes between the two. What will be a better going thing.
Because up front things seem to be better. Christopher Nkunku returning from injury, showing his skills.
Though I see there's a lot of he's got a lot of turn there. Like, he's not settled because his preferred position is playing where Cole Palmer is playing, and Cole Palmer's not been dropped from that position, so it makes it a bit hard for Nkunku also to play his preferred role. But yeah, he's back. He's really good. So hopefully we can find a way of playing both of them in a way that they're both happy with. That said, like, we do have a whole heap of players that can play across that front line, so finding space for them is hard.
Definitely. Obviously, Nicholas Jackson, they're having a really great breakout season as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Having Cole Palmer is just that talismanic player at the forward line. He's just, everyone around him is better for having him to play off. I do think that that's been a big improvement with Chelsea. Like, just clearly there's been a lot of training being done in the off season, and the team kind of buys into Maresca's system and they're buying into the strategy.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting in the second half of the season. Obviously, there'll be half a season of tape for people to see what Maresca does. Yeah. And then, you start seeing the clever managers start having answers and it's the whole chess move versus other chess move, right? So we're gonna see what Maresca does as his third chess move when others are, playing to his weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how does he, once they start making counter moves, how does he counter the counter? What was it say? Chess moves, they attack down the queen side, and he double down with the king side attack, or does he need to play something else to deflect?
I think one of the things that you should be hopeful for as a Chelsea fan is clearly this team is not perfect. Lots of weaknesses, but they're getting a lot of productivity and good results, and they're playing well. And you've got a lot of young players. The core is really young.
Yeah.
I do think goalkeeper's been a problem for a while, and no such thing as a team that wins stuff without a good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. And even a mediocre goalkeeper is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they'll try Jorgensen and see if he can do anything. But I think that's potentially the biggest thing at the moment, especially since you talk about having lots of young players, and Chelsea has all the players. So when you're thinking about do we need another player, that seems a bit silly when we've got so many of them to begin with. But still, even looking at that, it does sort of still feel like centre back is a spot that might need just someone with a little bit of experience there. Like, the older defenders tend to be the fullbacks that we've got. So tend to, not completely. So just someone else in there to steady things down.
Yeah. But there's just a few people here and there. But there's also I think a lot of good players in the academy.
Yeah.
And I think Maresca's not averse to trying them out in the middle of the defense.
No.
Depending on what their FFP situation is for the January window, I don't know how many players Chelsea will buy. No. I wouldn't be surprised if there's none. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 20 new players at Chelsea.
Who knows? I sort of suspect there'll be a bit of selling in the January window as Maresca sort of trims his squad to what he feels happy with.
Yeah.
Or maybe potentially more loans out than anything else, but which might keep. I'm just saying, just to keep the likes of Clearlake and Boldy happy with having all the talent. But I think the playing squad itself, or the the home squad perhaps needs a little bit of slimming down a bit further. But I mean, at the moment we have like 3 squads, right, that play. We have the Premier League squad, we have the Conference League squad, and we have the Cup squad, and they're almost 3 completely different teams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not viable long term, but at least you have a lot of overlap, so getting rid of players who cover a position where you're not, you've got plenty of strength, in the forward line.
Yes.
It shouldn't be too difficult once you figured out who's gelled into the system and the squad easier. Like, I don't think Mudryk, for example, is a player you're looking to sell now. He's come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And Maresca.
To fit into the system / have an understanding of what's expected of him. So clearly, say under Maresca, he feels more comfortable and more settled into the roles he's asked to play.
Yeah, and like Jadon Sancho's only just gotten there, so unlikely he's going. But a lot of other players, like Moses Caicedo, is just in great form.
Yeah.
At the moment. So I think Chelsea, it looks good. And like you have depth in case there's injuries as well. And obviously the squad is not peaked. So I think if you guys, as you should, win the Conference League this season, finish in the top 4, that's a good season, right? Getting Champions League spot and a European trophy.
I'd take that easily. But that would be very good. I think that would be a very successful season for the season, that outcome.
Yeah. Like, Manchester United are almost reliant on the Europa League to qualify for the Champions League next season, right? There's no pressure. They're 13th. Nobody really thinks they're going to finish in the top 5.
I mean, as we said, there's not that many points between them and Champions League at the moment. But yeah, I think outside looking in at the moment, the Manchester United, like, it does feel like it's a little bit too inconsistent to be really challenging for 4th. So I think you might be right that the Europa League's the pathway to Champions League next year.
Yeah, and obviously if they win the Champions League, nobody's going to complain.
It's the Europa League, you mean?
Yeah. With the Europa League, nobody's going to complain.
No.
But we have a very crowded room for Champions League qualifications. At most, you might have 6 teams.
Yeah.
Including from the legacy spot. If you get all 5 from the legacy spot and somehow there's a team that wins the Champions League that isn't part of that legacy, could be an Aston Villa, perhaps. A team like them, or a team like, because it does look like Liverpool will finish top 4.
Yeah.
Are very likely to finish top 4. Could be Arsenal, might not finish top 4, but could win the Champions League.
Yeah, maybe.
Potentially, it does look like Manchester City will finish top 4 as well.
Yeah.
But also a team like Manchester United that don't finish in the European spots and wins the Europa League, then you've got 2 teams coming in from the Cup winning spots, and then you've got the legacy spot. So it'll be 7 teams, but even then, you're like, so many other teams would miss out.
Yeah.
So it's really, really stacked. Is what we're saying.
Yeah, I sort of feel that this year especially, the Christmas period is needed to really sort the stack out, because you say it's all so close, it's all so bunched together. That period through December and then through Christmas with so many games sort of will start spreading things, maybe get that little bit of spread and distance between different teams, and show the teams that have the squad depth and have the tactics and have the ability to push on will hopefully make their way through that season and that set of games and really start extend themselves out of it, and that might provide that little bit of separation between the actual contenders and then the chasing pack.
Yeah, it's it is like I said, it's completely crowded over there. Like there is a group of clubs that are looking safe-ish, like your West Hams and your Leicester City and Everton.
Yeah.
But things can change quickly. Ipswich Town currently just in 17th place.
Yeah.
But there's Crystal Palace, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Southampton in the bottom end. Like Southampton, I think, are a club that just look like they're going to be relegated. They look like one of the worst teams to play in the Premier League.
Yeah. I would have thought similarly for Wolves, but they've managed to pick up points in the last few weeks, which has been good for them, including a win over Southampton. So that's always a big one. But
yeah. Wolves always somehow seem to pop out, and I feel like Crystal Palace will as well. Like Crystal Palace doesn't wait for things to stay bad. They will switch a manager, get Roy back.
Yeah, they'll find a way.
Whatever they need. Grandpa will come back and fix things.
Exactly. I'm still worried about Wolves. I feel like Wolves, they've sort of started to turn it about and maybe claw the way up, but them I'm worried about. Crystal Palace, I'm with you, I'm not so worried. I feel like Ipswich have done well in the last little bit to sort of claw some, including a win against Tottenham, which is just crazy. Yeah, but they've done well to eke themselves out some points in the last 2 weeks, which has helped, but I'm not sure they're going to get, as lucky to get lucky, per se, whether that's the right words or not, but lucky to get a win against, points against Tottenham, right? That's an unexpected boon of points. And they can't rely on those ongoing. And they haven't had that same consistency with other teams in a similar position. Like, they lost the Brentford. No, Brentford's good, but still. They lost to Everton. Everton's Everton, but still, like, these are the teams that perhaps they need to be eking draws or wins out with. They did draw with Leicester, so that's good from that point of view.
Yeah.
But, I'd be still worried from what I've seen from them. They're not going to average enough points, and it's because things change.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. It looks very, very... It's finally here. Are Wolves finally going to be relegated?
Yeah.
Somehow, it's hard to say till the January window. They always seem to get something in.
Exactly. Maybe that's maybe they find something. Maybe
Victor Osimhen goes to Wolves.
Yeah, who knows? Something crazy happens.
Scores 20 goals in the last after January. You'd be like, yep, that'll do it.
Yep, that's fine. That's how you do it.
But unlikely to happen. That. Though he is on fire at the moment. I think every Premier League club who was like, he was too expensive are currently now going like, man, he looks unstoppable.
Exactly.
But the relegation battle is still rather close, I think.
It is.
Probably up to Leicester, they're all viable relegation candidates because it's only 6 points.
Yeah, maybe.
From bottom.
Maybe West Ham, that's 5 points off 18th. Like, that's perhaps still problematic. Like, that's a loss, an unexpected loss away from something. So, like, I would put them as probably pretty safe, but still, I'd keep them in that envelope of potential trouble, just because it's, only 5 points away. Like, United and Bournemouth and Brentford are well far enough away from that. You say that's into the squash of 3rd through 13th. But below 13th, all of them just few more points for West Ham and the likes of Leicester and Everton, and maybe they'll start pulling away. But a poor run of form could be problematic.
Yeah.
That's it with the likes of West Ham. I would expect that if they did have a poor December,
David Moyes will come back.
Yeah, they'll sort themselves out. Their January transfer strategy would be on point. And to be fair to West Ham, they've got, other than Arsenal at the beginning of December and Newcastle, the end of November there, the rest of them seem halfway decent. They've got the people they need to beat: Leicester, Wolves, Bournemouth. Things can go well for them.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's everything. This is the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Once we review our Christmas season, we'll be reviewing the bloodbath.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be able to say Christmas, December, look at that, how that's all gonna just throw everything into chaos. Then afterwards we'll have the January review that will show exactly whose and what blood was left on the floor. Because I think you're right, it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath once we get through to the end of January, and we'll have an idea of how everything's going out. So we'll be able to see the team's January transfer, what happened in Christmas, their January transfer strategy, and how that's shaping everything up. I think that will, how teams do through that entire period, including the strategy around the January transfer, will say a lot about what's going to happen through the rest of the season.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's all to play for. Everything is poised. We're just waiting to see how it'll play out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we have time for today.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much for listening, and look forward to hearing from you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.